Have you ever felt like you had to wear a mask just to be accepted? Like the real you, raw, unfiltered, imperfect, wasn't enough to deserve love, respect, or even a seat at the table? What happens when we trade truth for belonging? When we betray our own voice just to avoid being left behind? What you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's a mirror. And maybe, just maybe, it'll reflect something you've quietly buried under the weight of pretending. So stay with me until the end, because this might be the moment your soul finally exhales. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed to the Mental Dose channel, and don't forget to join our Telegram community for early access to content that reconnects you to your path. Let's begin. Beneath the surface of a silent, windswept desert, there was a cave. Not marked on any map. Not found by accident. The only ones who reached it were those who had lost everything or nearly had. It wasn't a prison, but it felt like one. The kind built not by walls, but by whispers. This cave held a mirror unlike any the world had ever known. A mirror that didn't reflect your face, but your essence. Who you were before you started pretending. And in this cave lived a man. No name, no followers, no audience. Just a heartbeat and a question that echoed louder with each passing day. Who am I if I'm not who they expect me to be? Once, long ago, he had walked among others, confident, admired, molded to perfection. He wore success like armor, crafted smiles on command, and offered pieces of himself like currency in a marketplace of approval. But one day, he cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically. It happened in the quiet. A conversation where he agreed to something he didn't believe. A laugh that felt more like surrender. A morning where he looked in the mirror and no longer recognized his own eyes. That's when he left. Without warning, without goodbye, he followed the silence into the desert and found the cave that called only to those who had nothing left to prove. At first, the cave seemed empty, but then he saw it a massive mirror, ancient and still, carved from stone and shadow. He approached cautiously. It didn't show his face. It showed memories. Not the ones others praised, but the ones he had buried. His childhood dream of drawing stories instead of managing ledgers. His desire to cry at movies, which he learned to suppress. The first time he was told be a man, and how he tucked his softness away like contraband. He stared for hours, days. What had he become? A projection of needs that weren't his. A sculpture shaped by every hand but his own. He thought the mirror would judge him, but it didn't. It simply waited. There was no one to impress in that cave. No likes, no comments, no curated perfection. Just the echo of truth. Slowly, painfully, he began to remember. Not like flipping pages in a book. More like feeling your way in the dark and recognizing a scent you once knew. He stopped fixing his hair. Stopped repeating affirmations he never believed. He started speaking aloud, clumsy, strange, but real. I don't want to lead. I don't care about legacy. I'm tired of pretending. The mirror didn't change, but he did. Each confession felt like removing a costume he hadn't realized he was wearing. But healing isn't romantic. It's brutal. One night, the silence felt too loud. He screamed, not out of anger, but grief. Grief for the years lost to performance. For the love he never felt because he didn't offer it to himself. For the truth he abandoned in exchange for applause. And that's when the cave answered, not in words, but in reflection. The mirror showed him not what he had been or what he had become, but what still lived within him, untouched by time, uncorrupted by pressure. A version of himself that had always been watching, waiting. The one who never needed to be enough because he already was. He didn't leave the cave right away. There's comfort in stillness once you stop running. But one morning, something changed. He looked into the mirror and smiled, not because he liked what he saw, but because he finally recognized it. That was the moment he became real again. Not perfect, not prepared, but real. And that was enough. When he stepped out into the sun, it felt like the world had shifted, but maybe it was just him. He didn't return to his old life. He created a new one, smaller, slower, but honest. Some people didn't understand. They missed the version of him that was more polished, more agreeable. But others really saw him for the first time. Because when you stop being a mirror, you become a lighthouse. And lighthouses don't beg to be seen. They shine. Now I want to ask you something. How many times have you looked into a mirror and only seen what you were told to become? How often have you silenced your own voice because it didn't match the script others wrote for you? Have you ever shrunk your spirit just to fit in a space that was too small for your truth? Maybe it started in school when you were told to sit still when your soul wanted to dance. Maybe it started with your family when they rewarded you for achievements, but not for simply existing. Maybe it happened in your relationship where love was conditional on how well you could shapeshift. Somewhere along the way, we learned that being ourselves isn't safe. So we edit, we trim, we perform, and then we wonder why we feel hollow. But here's the thing no one tells you. Authenticity doesn't guarantee applause. It guarantees freedom. And freedom is messy. It will cost you the comfort of approval, the security of fitting in, and the illusion of being liked by everyone. But it will give you back your soul. And there's no greater homecoming than that. You weren't born to be understood by everyone. You weren't born to be palatable, digestible, or marketable. You were born to be whole. That means sometimes being misunderstood, sometimes being alone, sometimes walking away from applause that feels like chains. But in that space beyond the noise, something sacred happens. You begin to hear your own voice again. At first, it's faint, but keep listening. It will grow stronger. It will lead you back to the parts of yourself you buried to survive. It will remind you that your worth was never tied to their opinion. It was always in you. You don't need a mirror to remember who you are. You just need to stop pretending you forgot. So here's your invitation. Stop rehearsing. Stop editing. Let your soul speak even if it stutters, even if it cries, even if it rages. Speak. Show up. Take up space. Not because it's impressive, but because it's true. And the next time you look in the mirror, don't ask, do they like me? Ask, do I remember me? If this story reached a quiet place inside you, leave a comment and tell us what part resonated most. Sometimes writing it down is the first step in reclaiming your voice. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Mental Dose for more stories like this, stories that don't just inspire. They reconnect. Your journey back to yourself isn't a return. It's a rebirth. And it starts now. In the quiet moments of introspection, we often confront the realization that we've constructed elaborate facades to navigate societal expectations. These masks, while protective, can become prisons, obscuring our genuine desires and values. The labyrinth of self-deception is intricate, with each turn representing a compromise made for acceptance or fear of rejection. As we traverse this maze, we might recall instances where we laughed at jokes that didn't amuse us, agreed with opinions that contradicted our beliefs, or pursued careers that didn't align with our passions. These moments, though seemingly insignificant, accumulate, leading us further away from our authentic selves. The weight of expectations. Society, with its myriad norms and standards, exerts a formidable influence on our identities. From a young age, we're taught to conform, to dress a certain way, speak with a particular tone, and aspire to predefined milestones. While these guidelines aim to foster cohesion, they can inadvertently suppress individuality. The weight of expectations can be stifling. Consider the student who excels in art but is steered toward medicine due to familial prestige, or the individual who suppresses their cultural heritage to assimilate into a dominant culture. These sacrifices, made in pursuit of acceptance, often lead to internal conflicts and a sense of disconnection. The awakening. There comes a pivotal moment, a catalyst that prompts a reevaluation of our path. It could be a personal loss, a profound conversation, or an encounter with someone who embodies authenticity. This awakening stirs a yearning to rediscover and reclaim our true selves. Embracing this call requires courage. It involves peeling back layers of conditioning, confronting uncomfortable truths, and challenging long-held beliefs. It's a journey fraught with uncertainty, but it's also replete with opportunities for growth and liberation. The journey inward, embarking on the path of self-discovery, necessitates solitude and reflection. It's in the stillness that we can hear the whispers of our inner voice, long overshadowed by external noise. Journaling, meditation, and introspective reading become tools to navigate this terrain. During this phase, we might unearth forgotten passions, suppressed emotions, and neglected dreams. We begin to question, what brings me joy? What values resonate with me? What legacy do I wish to leave behind? These inquiries guide us toward a more aligned existence. The role of community. While the journey inward is personal, the support of a like-minded community can be invaluable. Engaging with individuals who value authenticity fosters a sense of belonging and reinforces our commitment to living truthfully. These connections serve as mirrors, reflecting our progress and offering encouragement during challenging times. However, it's essential to discern between constructive feedback and opinions rooted in conformity. Not all advice aligns with our path, and part of authenticity is learning to trust our intuition amidst diverse perspectives. Embracing imperfection. Authenticity doesn't equate to perfection. It's about embracing our flaws, acknowledging our mistakes, and recognizing that growth is a continuous process. By accepting our imperfections, we cultivate self-compassion and resilience. This mindset shift allows us to approach life with curiosity rather than judgment. We become open to experiences, willing to take risks, and less deterred by the fear of failure. In doing so, we create space for genuine connections and meaningful endeavors. Living authentically. As we integrate our discoveries, authenticity becomes a way of life. Our choices reflect our values, our relationships are grounded in honesty, and our pursuits align with our passions. This congruence fosters inner peace and a sense of fulfillment. Living authentically also influences those around us. Our courage to be ourselves can inspire others to embark on their journeys of self-discovery. In this ripple effect, we contribute to a culture that celebrates individuality and fosters genuine connections. The continuous evolution. Authenticity isn't a destination, but a dynamic state of being. As we evolve, so do our understandings of ourselves. Regular self-reflection ensures that we remain aligned with our truth, adapting to new insights and experiences. This ongoing process requires humility and openness. We acknowledge that we don't have all the answers and remain receptive to learning. In embracing this evolution, we honor the complexity and richness of the human experience. The journey to authenticity is both challenging and rewarding. It demands introspection, courage, and a willingness to confront discomfort. Yet, in embracing our true selves, we unlock a profound sense of freedom and connection. By shedding the masks we've worn and stepping into our truth, we not only enrich our own lives, but also pave the way for others to do the same. In a world that often values conformity, choosing authenticity is a revolutionary act, one that holds the power to transform individuals and communities alike.